What's good, all my stock market homies? Joe Biden just came out with his new $2 trillion infrastructure bill. In that infrastructure bill, EV charging stations were a big point. He is saying that he wants to provide a network of EV charging stations throughout the entirety of the United States. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive into the EV charging stocks that I think are good buys right now. And we're going to talk about the sector as a whole and why I think this sector is a great opportunity. Imagine a world with no more gas pumps. Instead of filling your car up with gas, you plug it in and charge it. And that's the direction that we're headed. And this is going to provide these companies that are early, that have the first mover advantage with massive revenues and a big opportunity. And we have a chance to look at these companies at the ground level. Imagine 100 years ago or so, if you had the opportunity to invest in oil companies at the ground level. And I know the analogy isn't perfect, but I think the shoe fits. These oil companies at early levels versus EV charging at an early level. But the difference is with oil, you got to drill it. It's costly to get out of the ground. With EV charging, all you're doing is swiping the credit card, getting that reoccurring revenue. It's going to be big business. So let's break it down. Let's get it. Look at the chart I got on the screen. This is a yearly chart of Chevron, CVX. This is a big oil company. I'm sure you guys have heard of Chevron before, but this is a yearly chart. Back in 1969, Chevron was trading for 45 cents per share. Today it's trading at $105 per share. What a huge run up that was, and that's because that was an early move in the oil space, and obviously oil has taken off. And I am not saying by any stretch of the imagination that oil and EV charging are the same, but I do believe there are some similarities in the space. Why are we talking about EV charging stocks today? Well, Biden wants to build a national EV charging system under his $2 trillion infrastructure plan. So there's going to be an injection of capital into these EV charging stocks. President Joe Biden is prioritizing a national EV charging network under his $2 trillion infrastructure bill, promising to have at least, key number here, 500,000 of these devices installed in the U.S. by 2030. 2030, that's only 9 years away, talking about adding 500,000 EV charging stations to the US network. That is a massive number. We're talking about not that many companies, right? There's not that many companies out there that are going to benefit from this. BLNK Charging and ChargePoint are two of the biggest players, so it's really no secret who's going to benefit from this injection of capital into the space. So let's take a look at these stocks and see where they're headed from here. I got a picture of a Kmart parking lot pulled up on the screen, and I know you're thinking to yourself, Kevin, why in the world do you have a picture of Kmart? It sucks. And yes, Kmart does suck, but we're just paying attention to the parking lot here. So in 10, 15 years, all of these parking spots will have EV charging capability there. There will be a credit card reader, and some company will be generating huge amounts of revenue off of those charging stations. We're talking about endless reoccurring revenue. These companies ought to be going to every Walmart, every Target, every Home Depot, every single parking spot in the United States, and trying to put one of their EV charging stations there, because it's like a vending machine business, right? The more vending machines you get out there, the more revenue you're going to bring in, and the more charging stations you get out there as the EV penetration rate increases, as more and more drivers are driving around the United States in EV vehicles, the more they're going to need to charge their cars. So you put these charging stations literally everywhere, and they will bring revenue in. We're talking about the new oil money, baby. That oil money is for real. All right, the first stock we're going to talk about is ChargePoint. ChargePoint, ticker CHPT, is the biggest of the public EV charging companies right now, but it's not my favorite. So ChargePoint, it did make a big move from sub 15 all the way up to $50 a share. It is sold off down to 30, so it is trading at a really nice discount right now. However, it's not my favorite EV charging stock. My favorite is going to be BLNK, BLNK Charging. Okay, so they're two competitors. BLNK Charging and ChargePoint are two similar companies. However, ChargePoint is trading at a market cap of $8 billion, while Blink Charging has a market cap of $2 billion. Yes, ChargePoint has more charging stations in their infrastructure today. They have more revenue annually than Blink Charging does. So you might be saying, why don't you want to invest in ChargePoint? Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with ChargePoint, but we're talking about a sector that is brand new. This is an infant. We're talking about a sector in its infancy. So I'm going to want to back the cheaper of the two companies that are the leaders of the sector. So we have no idea who is going to be leading this sector in 10 years because it's just in its early stages. Blink Charging could very well take over and become the leader of the EV charging sector. We have no idea what's going to happen. So I'm always going to back the cheaper horse in this situation, and that's Blink Charging. And Blink Charging is growing fast. Here's their 2020 results. So fourth quarter, we saw Blink Charging grow by 250% quarter over quarter. And for the full year of 2020, Blink Charging grew by 121%. Those are huge revenue numbers. And on top of that, the company made continued progress with its owner-operator strategy. The number of commercial Blink-owned charging stations contracted or deployed during the quarter grew by 51%. This is the most important number because who cares what the revenue is today, because we're talking about a growth company in its very early stages. We only want to know about the number of EV charging stations they have deployed. Those charging stations that they get deployed, that equates into future revenue and future growth. So my main focus is on them getting those charging stations deployed, getting them out there, and just waiting for that revenue to come in. Take a look at the chart real quick, and this thing has been stupid strong. About $8 a share down here, all the way up to $65 per share. But it is trading at a discount off of its recent highs. Right now, we're trading at about $40, and I think this is a steal at $40 at a market cap of less than $2 billion. This is a really cheap company based on my projected future growth that we're going to see in the sector and this specific stock. So I'm going to be looking to buy this thing. We have traded this previously in the private Discord chat. We bought it right here at 25, sold it up in the 30s. If you want to come trade with us in the private Discord chat, right now is the best time to do so. As Patreon, they charge you on the first of the month. So if you sign up now, you basically get a 1 month free trial to see if you like it. If you don't like it, you cancel and you won't be charged as long as you cancel before the first of the month. So check that out. That'll be the first link in the description. So I think Blink Charging is a good deal at 40, and I think in the next 12 to 24 months, we're talking about a $70 stock. I like this long-term outlook. This is like a 5-year plus hold for me, as I think this sector will start to materialize over the next decade or so. The third and final stock I want to talk about is one of those home run or strikeout type stocks. You're either going to score a touchdown or you're going to fumble. The stock's going to go up 1,000% or it's going to go to zero, and that's IDEX, Ideonomics. This is the type of stock where I put a little bit of money in, a few $1,000s, and I hope 15, 20 years down the road, it's $100,000. It's one of those type of deals, but I would not be surprised if it didn't work out because their technology is so different, it's so unique, it's so disruptive that it's either going to be awesome or it's going to suck, and we're just going to have to wait and see. And the technology that I'm talking about is their Wave wireless EV charging tech. The reason that I'm in love with this kind of technology is because I'm a big believer in autonomous driving and robo-taxis. So these robo-taxis, they're going to be driving all around town, and they're going to be needing to charge up their batteries. And the problem with that is there's not going to be a driver in the vehicle to plug it in. That's where you have wireless charging come into play. And Ideonomics with their Wave technology solves that problem. Think about mass transportation as well. We're going to have robo buses. These big city buses are going to be EV, and they're going to be autonomous. So how are they going to charge up? They pull on top of this wireless EV charging mat by Ideonomics. That solves the problem. So right now we're trading at $3 a share or so, and we came off highs of $5.50. So we're looking at a 40% discount off of the recent highs, and this very easily could 10x, or it could be a $0 stock here shortly. We'll just have to wait to see. But I have taken a little piece, I've taken a little position, and I think there is a lot of potential here with Ideonomics. All right, that's going to wrap up the video, guys. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, get your 2 free stocks from Webull. That's free money. And EV charging, it's the new oil money. It's the new oil money, like it or not. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until next time, peace.